Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today the RAKDOS Color Challenge takes on Brawl with the best RAKDOS Brawl deck I could make. We don't get a lot of sweet commander choices for Brawl in RAKDOS. I believe that our choices are the RAKDOS, the Demon, Angrath, Captain of Chaos, which if you want to make a Brawl a mass deck, maybe, but there's just not enough cards. It's not very competitive. And then, of course, RAKDOS the Showstopper, which 6-mana commander, you better have a really good reason for that. And if you love flipping coins, if you're a casino junkie, maybe this is the card for you. But for me, the powerful RAKDOS deck is this one, Judith Brawl. I break my own rule. I'm only running 24 land in this one, which is a big cut for me. I don't usually run less than 26 for Brawl, but this deck, unlike most Brawl decks I've played, gets them dead, and it gets them dead fast. It's actually very fast and very consistent, and it's kind of amazing how much damage output a Judith Scourge Diva has in a format where the opponents don't seem to consistently have removal or ways to contain a fast board. The deck does have a lot of 3s, which I regret a little bit since they occupy the same space in the curve as Judith, the Scourge Diva. Maybe I want more 1s and 2s, but I had a really hard time cutting these 3 drops as they're so good. They're just so good, especially with Judith. Solid removal, Theater of Horrors, which honestly, if you don't love this card, please cut it. I love this card. I can't get away from it. Murderous Rider, Midnight Reaper. The Bone Crusher Giant's kind of a 2-drop. It's okay. Legion Warboss is great. Mayhem Devil. I cut Krenko. I feel terrible. I actually think Krenko is pretty hot fire in this deck. Spawn of Mayhem fits into that spot. And you see, it's just a super aggressive deck. You can also cut the big Planeswalkers if you want to. I love them. But most games probably aren't going to go that late. These are the cards I want in those late games to pull me out of a slugfest. But it's possible my deck can't win that kind of fight anyway. So I'm still running Ugin and Liliana. Those are up for debate, but the rest of this I strongly recommend. What cards do I run in Brawl that I wouldn't run in Standard? One of them is Embereth Shieldbreaker. Destroy target artifact. That battle display side is a lot better than it looks. Witch's Oven is obviously only a one of, but Arcane Signet and Tome of Legends are in almost every deck. I include them even here in my aggressive deck. Should tell you what I think of those. And Golos is a big hit for the Shield Breaker. And there are a number of others. People throw in the Great Henge. They throw in those powerful artifacts pretty often here in Brawl. So I strongly recommend in your red decks an Embereth Shield Breaker. Also Goblin Crater Maker, destroying a colorless non-land permanent for all the reasons I just said. Just having a creature that you can sacrifice is already a good thing to trigger things like Judith and Reaper, but you usually have targets for the abilities in Brawl that you don't have in Standard as regularly. I mentioned both of these. I still play them all the time, all the places, even when they're not particularly aggressive, so I have strong feelings. You can't stop me. This is my channel. I will do what I want. The rest of the deck is pretty straightforward. Don't run bad lands in your deck that don't produce the colors of mana you need. This deck really does often need double red and double black pretty darn early. Therefore, don't run too many colorless lands. The deck can't afford it. It needs to curve out, and a colorless land can wreck your day. All right, let's dive in with Judith the Scourge Diva into Brawl, and let's let the nonsense begin. Yeah, can't really keep it without black. Can't really keep it without red, but I'm going to. We're going to have to draw a red source here because we do need double black for most of these cards. And Gutter Bones off the top isn't the worst, so let's go. Chandra, big red. That's gotta be a bad matchup. I mean, maybe we'll get lucky. We haven't gotten lucky yet. So far, we can't seem to draw the land we need. But we'll get the invasion down and see if a red source comes rolling off the top of the deck next turn. Blast Zone. I'm sure the opponent's going to start the party now, and it's light up the stage at full price. Ugh, now they have to cast a risk factor next turn, and look at that draw. What do we want? Do we want the Judith? It's pretty solid. But it doesn't really survive a board wipe. I'm trying to think of what the opponent could have. A flame sweep? So I think what I like is getting in with Gutter Bones and playing the Spawn. Spawn is a hard one to deal with. It's an easy lava coil target, but our opponent wants to play this risk factor next turn. Otherwise they just lose it. If I were them, I would not cast it. I don't think you can fall that far behind. I'm going to take 4 and love it, and then you're going to take a beating. They have to make it, they have to play a defensive measure. Like, they have to do something defensive here. I'll take that 4 and love it, like I said. That's so much damage. I think we play the Judith and just do all that we can. Just max damages. I think we also run out the Cauldron Familiar. The opponent doesn't even have shock available here. Maybe that's an auto-tapper mistake. Ouch. Holy smash. Holy smashes. Down to 8. Alright, make this next turn a good one, Big Red. Make Chandra proud. I mean, you chose a 6-mana commander. You might not live long enough to see it. Maybe nobody expects to be beaten down that fast in Brawl, but here we are. We top-decked the mountain at the perfect time. We got so lucky. It is risk factor you again. I will take it. It's fine. I'll go to 15. I will go to 15. Lava Coil, you're Judith. Sure. And then you die. Yeah. Holy cow. What a smashing. Dragon Boy playing Corvold. This is perfect. We go first. Our mana is bad again. Free mulligan. Mana is good. Hand is awesome. Let's do it. We will dial up the pressure on Corvold over here. You better be ready to defend yourself. Heals are cheats though. No heals allowed. Dreadhorde Butcher could carry. Like, this thing scales at a massive pace. Field of the Dead. Gutterbones is tapped. Alright, this is gonna be a beating. But let's drop the Judith right now while we get a ton out of it. And just slam. Slam, slam, slam. Next turn could be Mayhem Devil and Oven if we draw a land. Okay, you elked it. It's a 3/3 now, though. Ketmith's transformation, not banned. But opponent dead as a doornail. It's Golos. Ooh, we're on the draw. Ew. I guess we still have to do it, though. Hopefully Battle Display will play a role, because we can have turn 2 Signet Battle Display off the Shield Breaker, and if that hits an opposing artifact, like their own Arcane Signet, I'll be really happy. I'll be absurdly happy if that's what occurs. Also, the Shield Breaker can hit the Golos. Not that that's particularly effective, they just play it and ramp again, which is why Golos is the premium commander. And no turn 2 play. So the other option is just to run out the Shield Breaker, which I hate. So we're going to get our Signet online. And we're going to smash in there with Gutter Bones, but we've got a lot of work to do in this game. 3 mana. Risen Reef. You. At least it didn't ramp. The sad thing, when Risen Reef doesn't ramp, what Risen Reef did do is blocks my Gutter Bones, and it put a card in their hand. It's a bad look. Alright. I think this has to be the war boss. We need to build a good battlefield presence quickly. And we'll attack with both. If the reef wants to block the Gutterbones, great. Ooh, you hang on to the reef? You know, I get hanging on to the reef in your elemental tribal deck. This might be a tell the opponent has another elemental. Or a planeswalker to defend. Alright, one card Gadwick. They're drawing a lot of cards and they're moving their deck along. It looks like Bant so far. Scourge a Diva. Let's do this. Everybody into the swimming pool. Let's mentor up. Just gotta pressure. We just have to. Opponent gets some good blocks. Now see, if they had blocked the Gutterbones last turn, 2 less damage. Kind of weird choices. Now we could return the Gutterbones to hand, or we could play a Crater Maker. This isn't an instant, so we have to save it anyway. I think we play the Crater Maker because what's most likely to happen is the opponent plays a Golos. There's also a chance of like a time wipe, which would be sad. Nope. That land is tapped. There will be no Golos. We got the opponent on the run from their own mana base, and here's Tamio.
I would like to ask about any lunar anomalies you have experienced.
It's an interesting deck. It's got some fun stuff going on, but this is sort of a punt for the turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 with a sacrifice to Judith. We could target Judith. That's 12. We need a way to deal 1 more damage. And Theater of Horrors can do it if we untap with the Theater. It's an interesting spot for sure. So what I was talking about there is if I sacrifice Crater Maker, 1 damage from Judith. If I deal the damage from Crater Maker to the other Judith. And yeah, we're done. We are done here. No complicated line required. Opponent blinked and was dead. Alright, this is the new Judith challenge. Try to live till turn 6. I don't think anybody's done it. Not getting her done. This hand is a little clunk. If I play the turn 1 Knight of the Ebon Legion, I might not be able to play the turn 2 Butcher, and on the play I think the Butcher is the best play I can make, so I'm going to get the Guild Gate out. We'll see how much regret I have about that. Temple. To the top. Regret. I have regret. Our curve could have been perfect, but I just didn't know that mountain was there. Hit. The clock begins. Butcher is a bit of a beating, and these decks, you know, they're just not that fast. I don't think I play Priest here. I think it's Crusader and Knight. Our opponent could have Clarion. Ooh, they really could have a Clarion. YOLO. Yes, tap land. Love it. Max Pain. Played right into a Tail's End. Didn't care. Didn't matter. Opponent is really impressed with my play. Good game. Are you out? Are you leaving? Are you exiting the building? Let's find out. Or is this a taunt? Could have been better. I could have had turn 1 Knight of the Ebon Legion, turn 2 Dreadhorde Butcher. Oh. Command. I see. Your Gates Ablaze was slow. Ping, ping, ping. Do I have a way to sacrifice my own Butcher? No, not yet. Let's keep it simple. Judith, max damage. Make the opponent find a way to exile this butcher. Yep. Go, no, it's Golos. Golos. Opponent's not technically dead. But we have the shield breaker, which they don't know about, which we haven't actually had to cast Battle Display. We've had it in a number of games just waiting. There's some life. Nice job. Let's just show you a Battle Display. That'll tilt him. That'll tilt him. Yep. Our opponent did not survive until their turn 6. Yara versus Judith. This should be fun. I don't have a turn 1 play. Bone Crusher Giant doesn't deal with a Yara, but Bedevil can. I do have Priests of the Forgotten Gods. And I have a tap land. We'll try it. This could get interesting. Our opponent will be mono black, so their curve out could be better. So we probably need to cozy up into a value-centered game right away, which means I bet the Preacher is going to be the first one. The first one, my friends, to accept the challenge and survive until turn 6. So we drew the Footlight Fiend. There's a big problem with it. This enters the battlefield tapped right now. So I still think the play is turn 1 Caves. Then we do turn 2 2-drop. Turn 3 probably tapped Castle Lock Wayne, another 2-drop. And then turn 4 probably removing the Yara or I don't know, something. Interesting. With no plays on turn 1 and 2, I feel like if I put out the Fireblade Artist, it's going to run right into a duress. I could put out Bone Crusher Giant and hold the mana up, but the opponent's probably going to play the Ayara, so I need to have the Bedevil ready. So with that in mind, we'll just play the tap land and the Footlight Fiend to be sure we can remove Ayara next turn. Like I said, settling into a value roll. And here it comes. Must immediately die. Well, that will put it off for a bit. Cheap commanders get a lot worse when you have to play them later. Okay, there's a card. Chandra could be good. We could also Bone Crush and light up the stage, which I love. Make sure we tap correctly. I don't like giving the opponent a card, because they missed their last land drop, and this of course will help them hit it. But I think it's worth it in this case. That Midnight Reaper has to go. And this way we can try to keep hitting our land drops. 2 of them. Fabled Passage being 1. I think we know we want black, so we can put that out, but let's not sacrifice it until we're going to use it. Because we have Mayhem Devil in our deck. Mayhem Devil triggers off any sacrifice, including land. I doubt we'll just rip the Mayhem Devil and get to use this right away, but you may as well play to the good opportunities. And it's an Orzhov Enforcer. Opponent struggling with mana? Their cards seem a little bit low-powered right now. Definitely playing you. That was off light up the stage, of course. Now we want to assemble Priest of the Forgotten Gods and Chandra. Try and think of the best way to do that. We could just throw them both on the table, but then the opponent will probably kill something. We could make them try to respect the War Boss, but they have an Enforcer in the way, so the War Boss isn't very scary. We could throw out the Fireblade Artist at him. I think I like that the best. I want to save Judith until I have a lot more good stuff going on. See if the opponent wants to trade here. Now you get a 1/1. War Boss is much better against that. And they might not be worried about the Priest because they have something to sacrifice. But once Chandra comes down, it's a value machine. Nope, Priest is not going to live. Unfortunate. Maybe Chandra will get back that light up the stage. Well, opponent, would you like to pick a fight? You have a Priest of your own. Yikes. Okay. Well, I believe Chandra can bring back a Bedevil. Opponent can't really be allowed to keep their priest. See if they're crazy enough to block the Footlight Fiend. Nope. Alright, we'll go get another swamp now. The one of Mayhem Devil didn't show up. What a disaster.
Anyone need a fire started?
Let's
Too bad.
bedevil your priest.
Tell me if you've seen this one before.
I am flooding out a bit, but I have the castle. I think I can still play the grindy game. I might be wrong about that. Our opponent's a little constrained on mana. Their cards in hand, it's unclear what kind of impact they have. If they run a bunch of big 5-drops, or if they're all a bunch of small fodder-type spells like we've seen so far. We haven't seen the heavy hitters. We've had to use some removal already. It's not looking great. And the Rankle is one of the cards I was concerned about, but, I mean, how do you play around one-ofs? You really can't.
Training is so hard.
Crater Maker's okay. It's not going to finish the Rankle unless the Footlight Fiend somehow dies, but with Judith it can. With Judith it can. And I have enough mana for that. So here is Crater Maker. Here is Judith. Here's an attack with Footlight Fiend. And then do we let our opponent attack? We have something to sacrifice. I don't think the opponent can keep me from triggering the Judith. We can always respond, so we'll say go. And decide whether or not Rankle needs to die. I do need to protect my War Boss. I'm not giving my War Boss up to the Rankle, although it's unclear if it will actually be good. Okay, here they come. If the opponent puts the sacrifice trigger on the stack, I could kill this and then they sacrifice their own Rankle and I lose a Footlight Fiend, but I just don't think they'll do that. I think they will discard cards. And if they're going to do that, we can't have it. So 2 damage to target creature, that's you. Triggers Judith, also targets you. Rankle down. Ouch. Big ouch. Command for you. Back to command. Does make the Legion War Boss look disgusting. So we'll play you. We could replay this Judith and then we have a straight up trade. I guess that's better than draw 1 card, pay life. We'll make the opponent deal again. And we have a Bone Crusher to throw in front of the Cavalier. What are you getting back? The Priest or the Reaper? Cavalier Knight's so good in Brawl, but there's a Yara. That's not the worst thing that could happen. And there's a Murderous Rider. Part of me says I have to get rid of the Cavalier of Night, and I think I do. Unfortunately, our opponent gets to get back either Priest of the Forgotten Gods, or they get back Midnight Reaper. So if they're going to do that, let's put pressure on their life total to the absolute best of our ability. Pressure on the life total can negate the effects of the Reaper and the Yara to an extent. So everybody in. The opponent really doesn't have great blocks. I mean, you can make that block. And we'll go to command. I have the mana to replay it, so it's not the end of the world. Draw a card. Cottage. Get back Cavalier of Night? Yeah. Yes, indeed. If the opponent has a 1 mana play, they can play it this turn. Ooh. Ugh. It is getting ugly in here, friends. I don't know if we're going to get out of this one. I don't know if we're getting out of this one. Boss. Lily has to die, but maybe we're just supposed to go face. Maybe nothing matters unless we go face. Yeah, let's try. Let's give it a try. We want a 3/2 Footlight Fiend. I kind of want the Footlight Fiend to die. I guess I'll take a Goblin. But those are my, like, sack fodder, but so is the Footlight Fiend, yeah. Goblin can have the bump. Okay. Wow, takes it. Goes, wait, you're dead. You're freaking dead. You're dead. Oh my gosh, math is for blockers. You were a blocker, why didn't you math? So you can say, little reflection, you can say the opponent might want to block doesn't want to block with the Yara, they don't want it to go back to command, but they could block the 2/1 token. Right? Well, I guess then the Legion War Boss kills the Yara.